Welcome once again to the Buy and Sell Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Frank Garay, with my co-host, Nicole Anderson. Nicole, how the heck are you today?
I'm doing great, Frank. Thanks for asking. How are you doing?
You know what, man? I'm doing good too. And just for reference, for anyone who's listening or watching, it is an absolutely beautiful California day today, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Yep.
Yeah. It's just the perfect weather right now. Just perfect. Give us a couple of months, we'll be miserable in blazing heat.
No, I think it's like a great time to buy a house. It's just like that weather.
You're right. Always a great time to buy a house. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or sell.
Or sell. Yeah. Got those thoughts going on. Yeah, let's talk. But speaking of buying and selling, I got a question for you. I was doing a loan, a mortgage for a first-time home buyer. And I like to do first-time home buyer classes. It's one of the things that I do. I have a private 45-minute Zoom call with the husband and the wife or the significant other, whatever, right? And we go through and do a first-time home buyer class. And I came across the matter of the deposit. So when you buy a home, you usually put down, and we call it an EMD, Earnest Money Deposit, right? Good faith deposit. You put it down. And he had a lot of questions about that. Like, what happens to that money? Where does that go? What if this doesn't work out? And I was hoping you could just clarify for everybody, like, what does happen with a deposit? First of all, what is it? There might be first timers that don't even know they have to do that. That surprises me too, is when I do these, a lot of times they don't realize, oh, I have to put something up like now. And it's like, yeah, you do, so why do they got to do that, Nicole? And what protection do they have about, so they don't lose that if something doesn't go right?
Okay, so this is actually one of my favorite questions to go over with first-time home buyers,
Huh.
or actually even experienced buyers, because they forget. It's been
Right.
a while.
Yeah.
You don't buy and sell a house every day. So it's customary in Solano County, which you serve, and Contra Costa County, which you serve as well, to put 3% down for earnest money when you put in an offer on a house.
Mm-hmm.
And that money goes, that 3% is the sales price of the sales price. And that money goes into escrow, which is a neutral third party account. In escrow, we use escrow. Escrow makes sure that to check off, they hold the money and to make sure that the seller fulfills all their ends of the agreement, and that the buyer fulfills all their ends of the agreement.
Got it.
Before they release the funds and record the record the property being transferred.
Yeah.
So that earnest money, it's also a credit. You're not just adding 3% on top of your sales price, but it goes towards your total balance down on what the purchase price is. And the 3% is held as when a seller accepts your offer, they have to take their property off of the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they take their property off of the market, they potentially could lose other potential buyers of purchasing the home. So you're saying, yes, we're serious buyers. We're going to go ahead and purchase this home. Here's 3% in earnest, like in good faith, that we are doing this, so that the seller has some kind of reassurance, right? That money is held in escrow. It doesn't go to the seller until the close of escrow. But that money, if you were to, it's protected if you can keep your contingencies in the offer.
Okay.
If you remove your contingencies, then that earnest money is at risk of going to the seller, and that's considered liquidated damages for them taking their property off the market and wasting their time. But if you keep your contingencies, like there's 3 contingencies that most people keep. There's other ones too, but most of the most standard ones is the loan contingency, the appraisal contingency, and the inspection contingency.
Got it.
And then if you want to make your offer more attractive, sometimes you waive these contingencies, or you make the contingencies shorter. So then that it just makes it a little bit more attractive to the seller.
Attractive. When you say make a contingency shorter, what if somebody doesn't get what you mean by that? What does that mean?
So let's say that you put a loan contingency in there in the residential purchase agreement. It says 17 days and then you can check off and put like 10 days or 5 days for an inspection contingency. Or if they have all the inspections and there's multiple offers, you may want to waive that inspection contingency. So it just depends.
You've got theirs that you can look at. Yeah.
Yeah. Each situation, each scenario is a different strategy that you need to use that for.
Got it. So when we shorten a contingency, we're just saying, hey, we'll move along faster than the next guy. I still want these things, but I'll figure that stuff out quicker than
Yep.
some other guy. I see.
Yeah, because when the seller puts our house on the market, they have the upper hand, right? Because they're
Hmm.
thinking like, okay, well, I have, they have to, a buyer has to get their offer accepted before they can start getting into get the
Right.
party started, right?
Yeah.
And before they're invited to the party.
Yeah.
And then so the seller has the upper hand at that point. But if there's a contingencies in the offer, let's say there's one for appraisal, and then the property doesn't appraise at the value, then the buyer can come back and be like, now they have the upper hand and say, hey,
Yeah.
we can cancel or we can negotiate a different price.
Right.
And so that's part of the game. We're still in a very heavy seller. We kind of had a short little break where it was a heavy sellers market, but we are back to having it's a strong sellers market.
Okay.
And so therefore, people are waiving a lot of their contingencies. So let's say that you didn't, that you did keep in your contingencies, right? So
Yeah.
you put in your 3% down, it goes into escrow, and you do your inspections, and there is like something in there in that contingent or that came up in inspections, and you're like, I am not doing this.
Mm.
Okay. Maybe you like checked Megan's Law and there was a sex offender that lives next door. And you're like, I don't, I have children. I don't want to
Yeah.
deal with this.
Yeah.
So then you can remove, so then all we do is just say, okay, this is canceling
Mm.
and then the money goes back.
Okay.
But but then let's say though that like it took 14 days for you to, you said 10 days on your inspection contingency and it's day 11 and you still haven't even ordered inspections yet.
Mm.
That's the only time a seller has the right to cancel on you
Mm.
or, or just redo, just reschedule when the contingency will be done or ask
Like
them the
negotiate.
time.
Yeah. Get an extension on that or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could do. Yeah. So, but at that point, yeah, if you're not holding up to your end of the bargain, they could cancel the deal. If they, is it possible? Like, okay, I'm doing my contingencies, and I went past the date, and this just would never happen with a good real estate agent, though, would it? I mean, it would be resolved before
No,
or whatever. But if you guys see that it might go, you might need a couple more days. You usually work on that ahead of time, right? Like, okay, we're going to need a
yeah,
couple
we
of
try.
days, that kind of a thing.
But sometimes the seller won't let you do that.
Oh, all
But
right.
the money's still not at risk
That's
unless,
where I was going.
yeah.
So, okay.
So yeah, so let's say that you did expire that time.
Mm,
The only thing that the seller can do is cancel. They can't keep the money because you still
okay.
have that contingency there. They
Okay.
can just cancel on you.
Got it. Got it.
And that
Okay. So,
contingency for the money that when it becomes at risk is not until you actually, it doesn't matter about the time. It's you have to physically sign off on that contingency removal
mm.
in order for it to be at risk.
So
And
yeah, go ahead.
that's because like let's say you had an appraisal contingency and you had a inspection contingency, and let's say during inspections you ask for repairs and credits, and we negotiate all that, and then appraisal doesn't came in right and you negotiate all that, and then it comes down to so then you remove your contingencies because that's part of the negotiation, that why the seller will agree to a credit or to do some repairs or to reduce their price for an appraisal, is because then they'll remove if the seller agrees, then the buyer's removing the contingency. It's written in the it's written in the request for what we call request for repairs
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
price change. And then, so let's say that all these contingencies are removed because we've been negotiating, and then all of a sudden you get cold feet.
So they're all removed. We've negotiated everything. We've signed them off. We said they're all removed. But then after all that, now I'm feeling like, you know what? I'm just not feeling right about it.
Mm-hmm. And it's like the day before you're supposed to sign and close escrow. Then you're going to lose your money.
Yeah.
Because that was like not okay to do to the seller. So,
Right.
we teach not to do that. The only
Yes.
time that we've actually really saw any of that happening was when, at the beginning of COVID,
Really?
some people were like, I'm not really ready to do that. That was the only time that we've ever
Wow.
seen that. It
Wow.
wasn't my clients, but it was like people that we've heard.
They were out there.
Mhm.
Wow.
Fortunately, my clients that were in escrow when COVID started stick it through.
Yeah.
And they made a killing.
I was just going to say, yeah, they're probably like, thank you.
And a year later, they were like, "Oh, amen."
Yeah. Sending you presents. That's what they should do. So cool. Well, good stuff. So basically, if I was going to, wrap this up and kind of just talk about it briefly, it would be basically you got to give him the deposit to show that you're serious, right? And because the seller's going to have to take his house off the market, so he needs something saying, okay, there's some money here, somebody's serious, and that runs about 3%, is what you said typically.
It's customary 3%.
Customary 3%. So,
and the reasoning we do 3% is because the state of California doesn't allow any more than 3% to be considered liquid damage.
Okay, good to know. So $500,000 house, 15 grand. That's getting put up front, but it's counted toward your down payment and your closing costs. It's going in ahead of time, basically, as the good faith. And then you're not really at risk of losing it as long as you stay compliant with the contract, meet your contingency dates, negotiate those contingencies as needed, or negotiate those inspections or appraisals or whatever the case may be as needed. If you can't do a contingency, like let's say loan approval, you thought you had a loan and everything was groovy, then after they got some information back or whatever, suddenly you don't have a loan
during the process.
You bought a car. Good one. Thank you. Yeah. Put it on the buyer, not on the lender. Thank you, Nicole. So yes, you bought a car or something like that, and then so now the loan blows up. But if that happens, then I can't satisfy the contingency. The deal will fall apart, unfortunately, in that scenario. But I would still get my deposit money back, because it wasn't like some malicious thing or anything. I'm trying to meet my contingencies. It didn't work out. I get my deposit money back, right? But if I go through everything, negotiate contingencies, all that stuff, and everything's signed off, and I'm getting to the bitter end, and I just go, forget about it. I don't want it. I'm going to turn around and not going to sign or anything like that. Then you're definitely at risk of losing your deposit.
Which you should be, because that's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
To do this.
Yeah. It's
you
pretty
gotta
messed
treat
up.
people. We have to be fair. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Good stuff, man. Thanks, Nicole. Good information.
I hope I didn't talk too much. I have a tendency of over explaining, but that's
no, it's what it was needed.
Be clear.
No, I think it's good. Yeah, this is helpful, for a lot of people. I go through it all the time with these first time homebuyer classes. It's people don't know what that is, and they always ask all those questions, So, okay, well, cool, man. What's the best way for somebody? Go ahead.
One more quick little thing too is that escrow doesn't charge you any fees for holding the money in the escrow.
Oh, good to know.
So you do get the full amount back.
Yeah, that would suck, huh? But we held it for 2 weeks, so we're taking $500.
Yeah, no, it just goes right back in to their checking account. And we usually do a wire and just wires over.
Cool. All right, good stuff, man. Well, what's the best way for somebody to reach you, Nicole, if they want to get started with you?
I would like, I prefer my cell phone, which is area code 925-708-0017. It's area code 925-708-0017.
Perfect. 925-708-0017 for Nicole Anderson. She can help you out whether you're buying or selling. It don't matter. She's the go-to realtor for you. So cool. Thanks so much.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. And we'll be back again. So tune in next time here, guys, on the Buy and Sell Real Estate Podcast. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.